What's going on, you guys? I'm right now in my office back in Arizona, but a week ago, I was speaking to a group of entrepreneurs out in St. Louis, and they did a half-day health day, and they invited me out to come speak on the topic of simplifying results for busy professionals. Most of our clients these days are executives who travel all the time, or they're entrepreneurs who are working around the clock. And so in order for an individual in that position to get in shape, they have to do things a little bit differently. If this video is helpful, please comment, please share it. And if you have any questions about any of the topics I cover in the video, if you want me to break down any more of the specifics, please leave a comment. I'm happy to film another video or to respond directly to that comment. I appreciate you guys, and I hope this video is helpful for you. Take care.
I was going to talk to you guys about how to get in better shape, but I figured what we could do instead is a burpee contest. You're in? Beautiful. No, I'm not here to yell at you. I'm not here to have you do burpees. Today, I'm here to help you get more clear on exactly what you want out of your fitness. I want to present to you a framework that's going to allow you to simplify fitness and nutrition to the key principles that lead to change. And what would be a win for me is if we all left here today with more confidence that you knew exactly what to do to begin taking action on your goals. Sound good? Cool. By a show of hands, how many of you guys have fitness goals? Is that pretty much everybody? Well, by a show of hands, who has zero fitness goals? Zero health and fitness goals? Okay. Got it. Would anybody be bold enough to share with us some of your fitness goals? I won't be as nice. I will call people out. I got to hear them. You guys all have them. Yes, sir. Please. What's your name? Andy.
10,000 steps a day.
10,000 steps a day. Beautiful. All right, Andy, come on now. That's good. Who else? I saw some other hands. Yes, sir.
Stay alive.
Longevity. Biohacking. I saw some over here. Yes, sir. What's your name? Raj.
Lose fat and gain muscle.
Lose fat and gain muscle. We'll talk about that today. I want to hear some more.
Be a faster runner.
Faster runner.
I was kind of slow, so I'm trying to be faster.
Okay.
I move by 5K pace.
I love it. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Rim to rim to rim with my wife.
I've heard rim to rim, but you said rim to rim to rim?
He's getting deep.
Yeah, what is that?
Beautiful. Yes, ma'am.
To be a runner when I'm 80. I'm in the middle of 70 and I'm still running.
Okay. Runner at 80. And then one more. I'd love to hear all of them, but one more. Let's go right there, Black Cat. 1,000-pound club. Deadlift, squat, bench press. Beautiful. I love it. And for those of you who don't have goals, or maybe your goals don't seem too ambitious, I found that some people don't set fitness goals because they believe getting in shape is hard. But just for today, I want you to imagine getting in shape is easy. And then give yourself the opportunity to figure out, what would my fitness goal be if getting in shape was easy? We are in an interesting time when it comes to fitness results as a country, because we have more information than we've ever had before, but we are the most out of shape that we've ever been. We're trending in the opposite direction. So there's this inverse correlation between the amount of information we have access to and our fitness results. And a lot of people think the pathway to results is through a restrictive model and to have guilt and shame. But I think that you develop your body and you develop your fitness in a similar way to how you scale your business or develop your career, with a clear vision, simple systems, and execution, right? Something you can actually do. And ideally, something that minimizes your time in the gym to the amount of time that you want to commit to, maximizes your enjoyment of food so that you like the food, like Jillian was talking about, and actually integrates into your life rather than stealing your life. Because fitness is not life. Fitness is a tool that is intended to enrich your life, every aspect of it. Yeah? If you're anything like me, before you implement new information or install a new framework, you want to see that it leads to results. So I want to share with you guys some of my friends who have implemented this framework and have seen some cool results. This is David. David and I met about a year and a half ago. And when There he is. David and I met about 1.5 years ago. And at the time we met, and still, he was a traveling executive. He traveled 80% of the year. Now, David was a workhorse when it came to fitness. He trained 7 days a week. So discipline was not his issue. His challenge was that he traveled all the time. So you got client dinners, bad sleep in hotel rooms, and his schedule was hectic. His frustration was that, man, I'm training 7 days a week. Why don't I look like it? And so you see that photo there on the left, that's 20 years of training consistently. And after 11 months, he was able to go from 29% body fat to 7% body fat, all while decreasing his training volume from 7 days a week to 4 days a week. I should say training frequency, not volume, but from 7 days to 4 days, and increasing his carbohydrate consumption. Yay, carbs. Yeah, come on, carbs. This is Katie. Katie, she's a former college athlete. And then she graduated from being a D1 soccer player, entered into the medical field. And we all know how that kind of goes. You go from being an elite athlete running for 3 hours a day to not. And that led to some frustrations physically. And her goal was simply to get back into the shape, body composition, and weight that she was in when she was a soccer player while still having a life. So Katie was able to do that in a 4-month period, only training 2 to 3 hours a week because that's all that she had. And she didn't have to give up cocktail hours with the girls, everything in moderation, right? This is Luke. Luke is the COO of A1 Garage Doors. Does anyone know if A1's out here? Are they? Yeah, they're expanding like crazy. So he's the COO of A1 Garage Doors. And when we met, like David, like Katie, he was trying everything. All the fad diets, keto, carnivore, intermittent fasting. He even tried starving himself, and all of that worked for the amount of time that he could commit to that, which wasn't very long. And so this led to that perpetual yo-yoing, backsliding and making progress and backsliding to where he felt like he was restarting every Monday morning. Well, Luke had a pretty insane transformation. When we started working together in a 6-month period, he was able to gain 21 pounds of muscle and lose 38 pounds of fat. It was one of the most insane things I'd seen. That's via DEXA scan. And he was also able to fulfill a promise that he made to his wife, which started out as a joke, that he was going to have abs at their wedding. And then 6 months later, check him out. There he is on the beach in Mexico with his wifey, top off. And then here are some other people who follow the same framework. And you might notice somebody up there. Do I have a laser here? Mr. Joey Goon, one of EO St. Louis' own. Yeah. Make him uncomfortable. Come on now. He's up there with his shirt off. Joey, it's been about a year, bro. It's been about a year. Get naked. No, I'm just kidding. Since we met. And for Joe, I mean, you guys know Joey. He's a phenomenal individual. He's a dad. He's a husband. He's a business owner. And for him, it was simple. He just wanted a level of excellence because he wasn't out of shape. For him, it was about going from good to great. But he wanted to also be able to take his family out to dinner and take the team out to the winery without enjoying a meal out with friends and family, being a departure from his fitness. He wanted to be able to incorporate that stuff. And check him out. So let's answer this question. If you're not spending time in the gym, it would be impossible to spend less time in the gym, right? But how do you minimize the amount of time you're spending in the gym and maximize the results you're getting? In fitness, it's a principle. It's called progressive overload. Now, I grew up in San Diego. And in San Diego, when I was growing up, I trained at this gym called Gold's Gym. Are you guys familiar with it? It's like the Mecca. And at this gym, there was a ton of gym rats. People who every time I went there, I don't know if they lived it, they were there. They're the ones who make a lot of noise when they're training, right? And so some of these people who must have been in there 7 days a week for a couple hours, some of them looked great, but some of them, who every time I would go, they would be there year after year after year, they would look the exact same, which didn't make sense to me. At the time, I still believed more time in the gym equaled more results. And then I met this one guy. He was lean. He was athletic and he was lively. And so I hit on him. I went up to him. I'm like, dude, what's the secret? How often are you training? And he says, oh man, I train 2 to 3 days a week for about 30 to 45 minutes. And I was like, 2 to 3 days a week for 30 to 45 minutes? That's it? He said, yeah, that's it. I just make sure I'm getting my steps in and my nutrition's on point. And that flipped a switch in me. As somebody who's trying to figure out how to make progress with fitness and teach others to do the same and teach busy people how to get results, here's a guy who's spending a very little amount of time getting a lot of results. And so progressive overload, it's this principle that our body, more than anything, it craves comfort. Our body prefers to just Netflix and chill all day. But if you want to change it, you have to challenge it. And so how do you do that? It doesn't always have to be with more time. It could be with more it could be with more time under tension, more control. But if you show up to the gym even 1, 2, 3 days a week and you put challenge on your body, you will change. And that change will become motivating. That change will allow you to come back and keep doing it. See, if you set the bar here, I'm going to train 5 days a week, and if I can't do that, I'm going to do nothing. If that doesn't fit your lifestyle, then you're not going to be able to do it for very long. So practically speaking, how do you implement this into your life? Because whether you're old or young, male or female, you should be strength training. It's one of the things Dr. Sita was talking about that correlates to longevity and correlates to a higher quality life. So I want you guys to make a personal commitment to yourself as to how much time you want to train and how much time you have to train. For some of you, it might be 4. For some of you, it might be 2. For others, especially busy professionals, if you're at 0 right now, 1 is infinitely better than 0. Next, cardio. Where are my cardio lovers at in the room? Yeah? You guys are out of your mind. So check this out. Cardio is incredible. We know this. You got running at 80. That's an awesome goal. You got running, you can do HIIT cardio, you can hike. But the best form of cardio for fat loss and weight management, it isn't any of those things. It's not burpees. It's not HIIT. It's actually walking. Something that we all just did and something that you can do every single day. The best part about this modality for cardio is that it's accessible. You can do it while you're taking a business call. You can do it while you're listening to an audiobook. And one of the most beneficial aspects of cardio is that it burns calories without increasing hunger, right? If you go run 10 miles, if you go do some really intense workout class, you might notice later on in the day you're ravenous, like you can't get enough food in you. So walking, it burns calories without increasing hunger too much, which is a good thing if you're trying to change your body composition. Now, let's say we have a set of twins, okay? The twins weigh the same, they eat the same, and they train the same. The only difference is one twin is taking 5,000 steps a day, the other twin is taking 10,000 steps a day. At the end of day 1, 10,000 step twin has burned 250 calories more than 5,000 step twin. At the end of the month, it's 7,500 calories more. And at the end of a year, it's 91,000 calories more, which is equivalent to 26 pounds of fat just by walking more. 26 pounds of fat. It isn't these weeks of motivation or these grandiose efforts when it comes to your fitness that really leads to change. It's the small things you do every single day that compound to change your body, to change your life, to change your health. When it comes to fitness, here's the formula. 1 to 3 days a week, strength training. Apply progressive overload, meaning when you go in there, make it intentional. Seek personal records. Seek to challenge yourself. Because if you're just going in there and you're going through the motions, it's possible to kind of have a wasted workout, right? It's possible to go in there and just not really stimulate change. And then set your non-negotiable step goal. For some of you, it might be 5,000, right? You might be at 2,000 a day right now if you're sitting at Zoom meetings on your computer all day doing emails. But 8,000 to 10,000 steps is a good general goal for most people. Next. Yes, sir. Yeah. Do you have any particular questions on it? You want to see your volume going up over time. So if all of your, let's say you do a leg day, you do some lunges, you do some squats, you do some leg press. Let's say the total volume of weight that you moved in that one session, let's use easy numbers, was 10,000 pounds. You'd want to see that over time, there's a linear progression. Nothing crazy, but systematically and over time, you're growing and you're changing. Now, you don't want to put too much weight on the bar and hurt yourself. But the idea is that you want to be pushing up against that growth metric. So, for example, if you're doing curls with 20s and you're trying to get 10 reps and you can get 10, but you could have done 12 or 15, you're leaving growth on the table. So I think the idea is if you could look at one metric, it's the volume metric. And if you see your volume in each of those sessions going up over time, and there's ways to track this. I have an app for my online coaching clients that tracks all of their volume, but there's also really cheap apps out there that you can use to monitor your volume. An easy way to do it would just be to look at your key movements and ask yourself, am I progressing in these? Am I feeling more comfortable? Am I progressing the weight up? Am I having more control? Does that make sense? Cool. Beautiful. Let's tap on nutrition real quick. I'm not in the business of telling you whether you're a good person or a bad person based off the food that you eat. But there are two key nutritional principles that if you master them will allow you to become a master at manipulating your body composition. The first one is energy balance, which is simply the difference between the amount of calories you consume and the amount of calories you burn. If you're in a positive energy balance over time, you will see the weight trend up. And if you're in a negative energy balance over time, you'll see the weight go down. The next one is adequate protein intake. And this is a range. Protein isn't this magical number. I know we're all seeking to hit our protein, but it's not a magical number like you need 150. It's actually a range. And a good range for protein for most people is 1 gram per pound of lean tissue. So if somebody's 200 pounds and they're 20% body fat, their minimum threshold for protein would probably be somewhere in the 160 gram ballpark. And if you're an elite athlete, you're running and you're training hard 7 days a week, that might go all the way up to 1.25 grams of total body weight. So that 200-pound person, maybe it's up to 250. And that's the range. You don't want to go below that minimum range, especially if you're training, because then you're not giving yourself the ability to recover. But those are the two to be aware of. So whatever diet that you follow, make sure that this is incorporated within it if you want to see whatever change that you want to see within your physique and in your fitness. Here's why this is important. When it comes to nutrition, compliance is the science. If your nutritional framework is so complex you can't do it, you won't do it. And if it makes your life suck more and it doesn't allow you to enjoy other elements of life that allow you to be healthy and have solid relationships and travel and entertain clients and go out with family, then it becomes this prison. But if you follow principles, what you end up doing is you build a lifestyle that leads to a result, rather than following a diet or a framework that you can only sustain for a week or two, or through Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends you fall off, right? I recently sat down with this man. He came into my studio in Scottsdale, and he was about 500 pounds. Typically, for context, people who get to that point don't come to see trainers. So when he walked in, it was shocking because he had a hard time moving, and he was the sweetest guy. But we sat down, and I was so curious about his journey. He told me that he's lost hundreds of pounds throughout his life. But every single time he would lose it, he'd gain it back. One time he cut carbs completely. One time he followed a very restrictive meal plan. And other times he would just straight starve himself. But there was this correlation that he started to build where results equals suffering and restriction. And I asked him, have you ever heard of this idea of flexible dieting? It's kind of like what Jillian was talking about with the 80-20 rule. He was fully unaware that he could incorporate some of the foods that he loves and still see fitness progress. Somebody in that position, if you ask them to eat chicken and rice 5 times a day, they're like, oh, I'd rather just live like this. Like, he's eating good, right? But when you tell them, it's like, hey, don't cut anything. Don't cut anything. Start to become aware of how much you're eating. Start there. Start listening to your body and seeing how it's responding to the food that you're putting in it. How do you feel when you drink the 50-ounce soda? And, The data that goes behind being that heavy is significant calorically. And so if you have that tethering where, okay, if I want to lose body fat or develop my dream body, I actually have to hate the food that I'm consuming, you don't have to live that way. That doesn't have to be your reality. Cool here? Yeah? All right. EO sounds incredible. I'm not part of it, but I hope to be someday. And I think one of the coolest elements of EO is that you have accountability built in. You have community. And when I started in business, I was like 18, 19, I was struggling pretty heavily, and I was looking for people to emulate. I was looking for people to study as a pathway forward. And one of the commonalities I found in the traits of the individuals who were winning, I thought they just got to this level because they were special. They were born that way. They had great genetics, or they had that charisma that we all want. But in reality, these are just the people who are investing into themselves more than others. They had coaches, they had mentors. They invested relentlessly into their business and into the skills that they wanted to develop. This is one of the studies I like to quote. It's an accountability study. It says that just by having a goal, your fitness goal you guys talked about, you're 10% likely to achieve it. When you have a goal and a plan, that goes up to 50% likelihood of achieving it. You have a goal, you have a plan, and you speak about it outwardly, it goes up to 65% likelihood of you achieving it. But if you have a goal, you have a plan, you speak about it outwardly, and you have a weekly accountability meeting with a mentor, coach, or accountability buddy, it goes up to 95%. So if you want to hack progress in any area of your life, invite accountability into that area of your life. Quick recap. Get clear on what you want. Starts there. Next, you got to train. So develop a non-negotiable relationship with the work that you want to commit to. Again, start small and build upon that. 1 to 3 days a week in the gym. Find a non-negotiable step goal as well. Prioritize getting those steps in. If you love cardio, do the form of cardio that you love, but definitely prioritize steps. Optimize your nutrition for total calories and adequate protein intake. Don't get dogmatic about nutrition, and make sure you incorporate some of the things that you really enjoy. If you go to Italy with your spouse, have some wine, have some pizza. It's okay, find a way to incorporate that. And lastly, get accountability. Not crazy, right? It's all good so far? Awesome. Information is great, but we have a lot of it. And if information was the catalyst for change, we'd all be ripped because we have an abundance of it. We got ChatGPT. It's pretty good. I think the catalyst for change is this one question. Who do you want to be? Who do I want to be? What level do you want to live at? You get to decide that. You get to decide that with your health. And I've had thousands of conversations with people about their fitness goals. And I typically ask them the question, what do you want to achieve? And very often, they'll start to explain to me what they don't want. I don't need abs. I don't want to get too bulky and be a bodybuilder. Like that just happens. Been training for 15 years, I barely look like I lift. I don't want to eat chicken and rice 5 times a day. I don't want my life to suck more. That's not what I asked. I asked, what do you want? And I'm confident that the gap between where you are today and where you want to be in your health is getting really clear on that question. You have to give yourself permission to be honest. You have to give yourself permission to win. And that starts by not judging your goals, but just getting clear on them. Because if your goals are unclear, your results will be unclear. Here's a question I want you to ask yourself. How pleasurable will it be to achieve your goal? There's too many people who get on stage like this who are in my industry who just start yelling about sacrifice and discipline. This room especially, you're all entrepreneurs. You know hard work. You know sacrifice. You know input, output. But what about how you feel when you're at that 5-star resort sitting poolside feeling like $1 million? What about the energy that you'll possess when you're leading your team? What about the polarity you'll have with your spouse when you're physically at your peak? What about the confidence that you'll have when you're speaking on stage in a perfectly tailored suit? What about the life and the years you'll add to your life in the latter years to enjoy everything you're currently building because you decided to get clear on what you wanted and execute? I'll be honest, getting in shape it's challenging. It's hard. But nothing is harder than living at a level lower than you know you are capable of. And you're all leaders in this room. People look at you, they look up to you. And one of the things I try to encourage my clients in when they're just starting out, when they are maybe fuzzy on their goal, or they're in a state where the vision isn't quite as clear yet, is I try to encourage them that their transformation is bigger than them. Because when the leader transforms, when the mom, the dad, the business owner, the executive, when you decide to transform, you inspire everybody else around you to do the same. And that's all I had for you today. We have 5 minutes, though. Any questions? Yes.
What's your take on, like, yes, progressive overload,
Mm-hmm.
train to failure, leaving reps in reserve? What's your take on it?
I think that you should prioritize progressive overload almost all the time. So almost all the time, but you need to program deloads in. So that's going to be different from person to person, but you'll develop that intuitive relationship with your body and how it feels. If you could spend less time in the gym, 2-3 days a week as opposed to 5 or 6, and train harder so that you need that recovery, I would prefer that. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay.
What do you think about like Orange Theory, F45, and those kinds of companies?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about Orange Theory, F45, and those other like 45 minutes of intense workouts?
I think they're great for burning calories. I think they're great for getting in shape. When it comes to building muscle and strength, if that's a goal, the higher intensity classes might rob you of some of that potential because your heart rate is so elevated. You're probably not going to be able to move as much weight around as you'd like to, but you're always going to leave there with a great sweat. You're always going to leave there burning a ton of calories, so don't hate it.
So your strength training sessions 2 to 3 times a week, are those generally like the same lifts every time? And then if you do like to incorporate classes like that or yoga and mobility, those are other days if you have time for it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And the 2 to 3, again, it's just a general reference. I think it's 2 to 3, I haven't seen be a limitation in making progress for anybody who trains hard. I love going to the gym, so I might go 6-7 days a week just because I like being there. I don't think it's more beneficial to do it that way. In terms of, the core structure of training, that's what's been great is ever since people started lifting weights, the key movements, like there's probably 10 of them. Your bench press, your hinging motions. Most of the lifts are going to remain the same, and you just want to progress those lifts. And you want to keep the core of each training session probably the same. But if you're in a gym that has cool equipment and different machines, so explore, make it fun, try different things out. But your core movements on each strength training session should probably be staples, and they should probably be things that you're paying attention to over time to see if you are in fact progressing. Does that answer your question? Okay.